People who aren't afraid of passing, what makes you unafraid? Because I know there's another parallel dimension slash universe that we go to. I've seen it. You can either choose to reincarnate back into this dimension, or you can go to a parallel dimension or parallel universe and reincarnate there. So I'm Native American. My dad is half Kiowa and half Comanche. My mom is one-fourth Choctaw and three-fourths British European. My family lineage is full of well-respected and reversed medicine men in my tribe. My last name literally translates to teepee by the river because my ancestors, who were medicine men and shamans, needed their lodging to be next to a water source to practice native medicine and spirituality. Because of certain quote unquote gifts I exhibited when I was very young and a prophecy from one of my ancestors long ago, it was determined that I needed to start being trained and mentored in our tribe's spirituality and medicine practices. So throughout my life, it's allowed me to see and do things that so many people don't see and rightfully wouldn't believe. I don't blame them. I never asked for this gift or this responsibility. I actually worked really hard when I was in college to debunk this as nonsense, just because it wasn't logical or rational. However, the more I resisted and protested, the stronger my abilities became. The problem is there were a lot of bad people like con artists, charlatans, and frauds who had just enough knowledge about the paranormal and psychic phenomenon that they unfortunately took advantage of a lot of really vulnerable people last century who lost loved ones in the world wars. They really had no business at all doing what they did, but knew barely enough to scam people out of money. The topic was decried as a fraud and scams, and rightfully so. The problem is Tesla talks about this phenomenon being real, and in his writings he says that if humans only knew what they were capable of, we would evolve into a much more advanced and civilized society. And he was right. Tesla said, which I now agree with, says that humans have the gift of being able to tap into what he calls an energy grid that allows psychic and paranormal phenomena to happen. Some people call it the Akashic record, and that's why Nikola Tesla's home was raided by the FBI and his documents were taken and immediately classified as above top secret. It's criminal how the government has covered this up, and the alien UAP topic. I know, you don't believe me. Everyone at one time in their lives has had an instance where they suddenly knew something was happening or wrong with a loved one that they had no business knowing anyway in the first place. And I'm sure everyone has had an experience when they're talking to someone and suddenly they know something very personal about them that they had no business knowing either. Those are just some of the examples of a person tapping into that energy grid and getting that kind of knowledge. They can't explain it, and it freaks them out. Tessa said, and I've now experienced, if people nurtured that ability, they could do it all the time, especially remote viewing. The greatest lie the government ever said was convincing the public that remote viewing didn't work. That was a lie. I know. It's fine if you don't believe me. I don't blame you. I spent many years trying to disprove this phenomenon when I was younger because I didn't want the responsibility my tribe was putting on me. Like I said, the more I fought it, just the stronger it got. Anyway, that's why I'm not afraid to pass away. It's a new beginning that I'm looking forward to. All right, so it already sounds like we're in some very deep stuff here, so quite apt too, since in a sense we're all off into the deep end of something. So whatever your beliefs might be, let's just go ahead and keep an open mind, yeah? Here's story 2. I spent some time with a wonderful hospice nurse who walked me through all the stages of passing when my father-in-law passed away. His wife had passed and we made him comfortable in his home study as he slowly transitioned. It's the way he wanted to go, and it felt good to give him that. But the death rattle, that's the thing that freaks out a lot of people. It's just a phase of the body shutting down. By that time, the mind has pretty much left. Just as the nurse said, once that rattle begins, it's just a matter of time before the final breath occurs. I took this knowledge with me a few years later when my mother was in hospice. Again, we made her comfortable in her apartment, a senior care facility, and I spent time with her for about 6 days. When the rattle began, my sisters left. They just couldn't bear to see her in agony. But I knew she was transitioning. The day before, when she lost consciousness, her last words were quite inspiring. I see it. It's all love, she said. She brought me into this world, and I was so grateful to have had the honor to help her out of it. And I have no fear about leaving it when my time comes. Aw, shoot. This one makes me, how should I say this, hopeful? Her mom was suffering at the tail end, but at the very end, all she felt was love, and we should all be so lucky one day. Story 3. Weirdly, the fact that I've become less religious as I got older has made me more okay with passing. I went to Catholic schools as a child and was pushed hard on the you need to do good in this life to be rewarded in the next. And that just kind of grated me a bit. This why should I try to appease some deity for the promise of something that we aren't even fully sure is real? The finality of passing as a non religious person appeals much more to me now. The idea that we have one shot at this and we make what we want from our one shot. We get to choose how we treat others, how we are remembered, but once it's over, it's over. No redos, no takebacks, mistakes are left behind. Happy memories live on through others, but that's it. That's where I find my peace. I don't have anything against those who find a similar peace in religion. You just have to find the thing that works for you. Story 4. Well, it is supposed to happen. That is nature, and what makes life so important. You don't get forever. I'm not scared of what I am. I am mortal. My price for living is that life ends, and I'm not religious, though. I refuse to worship the idea of forever. I think the concept of a loyalty rewards program in the afterlife is just as ridiculous as believing there is a place of eternal torment. I'm not built for eternity. That defies the premise that I am mortal. I also think it is impossible to know if the transition from life to passing means I continue to have a reality. I'll find out at some point, but I'm not going to worship it or make up rules about it. When it happens, I won't be able to stop it. I'm not going to fight or be scared of reality. What is, is. There's no point in fighting what is. Also, there was recently a post I read where they talk through everything people on the edge of passing experience. It was largely that most people towards the end of their lives saw their loved ones and spoke to them and had messages from them. They all saw people and sometimes pets that they loved. The nurses all knew that when their patients started seeing this, they would leave a crash trolley outside that patient's door. So if slipping away means that in your state between life and passing, you feel happy that you will meet someone you love, I think that's a beautiful way to go. I think it must be true because it just happens so often. LOL, that is one interesting way to put it though, yeah? A loyalty rewards program in the afterlife. And in this guy's case, he doesn't have to get his card for that in some brick and mortar church, but can we please actually see our pets in the end? Please? That'd be super sweet to see all of them again after a whole human lifetime. I know for sure my cat would probably be like, hey, so what took you so long? Give me that belly rub, please. Thank you. Oh wait, your cat doesn't like belly rubs? Let me know in the comments below. Story 5. I've lived a great life. I've loved, I've lost, I've traveled, I've performed for thousands. I've climbed to dizzying heights. I've swam with sharks. I've seen forests so green they almost glow and forests so old you can almost feel them breathing. I've helped people who had nothing. I've been a person who had nothing and also was helped. I've raised young humans and taught them how to not need me. I've worked really hard and seen failure and success, and I've learned enough to know I don't know crap. No matter what I or anyone else does, every single one of us is going to. If you spend your life fearing it, how the hell are you supposed to live? And honestly, there really are fates worse than that. Passing is just an ending. An end to many good things, but also an end to many bad things. It's also a beginning, a way to make room for new people, new ideas, and new experiences. I didn't want to, but it's pretty clear that if we didn't, the world, our species, our cultures would become homogenous and stagnant. Now, what I fear the most is that even more the people that I love will pass before me. I'm also pretty sure that I would have gone insane a long time ago if I didn't know, for an absolute fact, that if things get bad enough, the game will end. Knowing that there is an exit to all this is one of the few things that gives me the courage to wake up and keep moving forward every single day. In my search for truth, I've learned a little bit about Bushido and Buddhism. The elements I've adopted have taught me to strive for excellence and to not fear passing. Define what a full life means to you and then go live it. Do that and you won't have any regrets. Story 6. If anything, it's a fascinating idea. I'm just not sure why people are saying it's a waste of time when it's literally a part of life. I think those folks are in genuine denial and are still afraid of it. I know that when I'm gone, people will be sad, and that actually hurts the most, but I also welcome it, preferably a quick one, since it means I won't have to deal with waking up in the morning, exercising, going to the gym, dealing with raising kids, dealing with poverty and substance-affected homeless, potential wars, or the fact we can't do anything fun without consequences, or at least a few months of a rainy day fund. Obviously, I'm able to make the best of bad situations and help out people who aren't doing so well, and I do enjoy exercising, making my body stronger. It's all just a big hoopla for no reason, and so if heaven exists, I can't wait to be gone. If it doesn't exist, then I make the best of my moral compass and constantly review potential gray areas to ensure I'm doing my moral best. The fact that I've made memories with the ones I love, they may miss me, but the memories will live on. I also tell myself that when I pass away, I'll be reunited with lost pets and friends. It helps make it something to look forward to. Nobody is obligated to really do anything with their life except, I guess, live it. So I welcome all experiences until I'm no longer alive to even be able to care. Story 7. I'm hoping for a cool afterlife where we get to zoom through the multiverse with our friends and family, seeing everything there is to see, and or chilling in our own versions of heaven, kind of like in What Dreams May Come. That would be the absolute ideal. The other likely alternative in my mind is a state of non existence, like what we experienced prior to our DNA combining in a successful way and letting us develop into a functioning person. I don't recall that state, don't remember anything negative about it either, so I'm not worried about it. If there happens to be some all powerful being or beings floating around in the ether, judging people and determining if we get to hang out in some cosmic paradise, I honestly consider myself to be a really nice person. I'm a scientist, so much more hopeful than faith based, though, which is enough to damn me according to some beliefs. Alright, are you guys enjoying the different perspectives in this video so far? But since we're already halfway through, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any of my upcoming videos. Let's get back to these. Story 8. I've never been afraid. Do you wait to pass? Of course not, but when the time comes, I will fully accept it. And I will be kind of excited, to be honest. I don't believe in God. I don't think there is a God at all, but I do think that when we pass away, things are not over, and I can't wait to finally find out the truth. Is it reincarnation? Do I show up to a room with all my friends and family? Could we wake up and find we've been playing a video game? Once we're gone, it could be a revolving window of just being born again and seeing my same parents and living my same life over again. I hope I don't. I haven't had a good life. I really have no clue. All I know is there is more than life as we know it, and I can't wait to find out what the truth is. How could it possibly be worse than life? All our problems stem from our bodies and our minds. Passing is the end of the body and the mind, so no worries. It's one of those things that's guaranteed to happen, so why live life scared? Life is meant to be enjoyed, make mistakes, and learn from them. In the end, we will all have regrets, but as long as you stay true to who you are as a person, then you should hopefully die happy and you will be ready for your next chapter, no matter what it is going to be. Story 9. A few things. First, I don't think about it, man. That's it. Thinking about it just wastes time that's better spent living life. Second, it's not the passing that bothers me so much, it's who we leave behind. Third, reading about near experiences, and they have all talked about how they feel so much love when they pass. How it feels like they're waking up from a dream and that they sometimes struggle to want to come back because they feel so good when they're gone. Fourth, my mom and my mother-in-law, in their 90s, observe that eternal life is overrated. When your hearing is gone and your eyesight is shot, you need a walker to get to the bathroom and a wheelchair to go outside. When no food tastes interesting and the heat and the air conditioning are always wrong, your marbles are going and the kids don't come to visit anymore, it's time to move on. And my aunt, who lived to be more than 100 without any of these problems, observed that when the generation behind you starts going off, you've lived too long. Fifth, I've read accounts from people who have NDEs, and I was so surprised to read how many of them mentioned an overwhelming feeling of peace. If you look up similar stories, I'm sure you'll see what I mean. Something about that has made the thought a little less scary for me. Sixth, a good life insurance policy. I've got a great wife and amazing kids. My life has been fantastic. And the only thing I really stress about is being able to provide for them for another 20 plus years in this increasingly crappy world. Knowing they will be taken care of if I was to pass away makes it much easier to accept. I mean, it'd be my first real break from work since I graduated. God, I hate capitalism. Seventh, well, I have a simple theory behind it. If science is right and we fade into the ether, I won't retain any form of consciousness and therefore won't be able to experience not existing and won't miss it. If religion is right, I'm a half-decent person and will more than likely end up in some form of heaven and be happy in life 2.0. I don't fear it. I fear the pain and suffering that may potentially precede it. Eighth, I don't believe in heaven and I don't believe in hell either. I strongly believe that myself and all humans are simply a complex form of bacteria. We multiply like bacteria and behave like bacteria, which leads me to think that humans have made themselves believe we are important, when in reality, we're probably a simple bacteria in some other being's stomach lining. I'm just a little bacteria, hoping to pair up with other bacteria to have some kids, spreading my bacteria across the earth. Simple thinking for a simple life. And finally, ninth, as my uncle, who is currently well on his way out, said to me, it's happening whether I like it or not. So just accept the fact that you're not in control and never really were to begin with. You did nothing wrong. Your time is just up. So basically, what I'm getting here is, long story short, the key thing, it seems, is that acceptance is key. And that means acceptance of whatever it is you actually believe in. Just basically, you do you. Story 10. Honestly, having lived, when I was young, I was afraid of it. That would mean I'd never get to do all these things I wanted to do. Now I'm married to my best friend, I have healthy kids, a career I love in which I am successful, and a nice home. I don't want to, of course, but I don't feel like my life would amount to nothing if I did. I did feel that way when I was young. Also, I have never heard the ones who passed complain. Another one, after studying scientific studies on NDEs, I firmly believe that life doesn't end with passing, and by all reports, it actually gets infinitely better. I'm just not ready to go yet, but I am excited for it when it is my time. Life just overall kind of sucks. You just try to find small things that make you happy so you don't see how messed up the world is, and at some point, I realized that living was far more terrifying. Story 11. I'm not afraid of it, but I am a bit leery of the process of it, the possibility of suffering or being a burden to my loved ones, but it doesn't scare me. From my perspective, I understand that we can all perceive the world is our senses, and the processing center for that is the brain. So when the brain stops working, you cannot feel pain, you cannot process information or stimuli. So it could be a relief. My father passed away from cancer and suffered at the end. He said that he looks at it as a good, deep, dreamless sleep where he will feel no pain. I agree with that assessment. I don't believe in the afterlife. I can't imagine the mechanism where memory could be stored or information processed without a brain. I find the concept of a soul preposterous. I'm not interested in a heaven where you worship some narcissistic god for eternity, nor a supposed hell where you get punished or whatever. I mean, that concept is just ridiculous on its face. Like, if there's an evil devil who rebelled against God, why be his jailer? Why do his bidding? Why not reward those who also rebelled against the same unfair God you rebelled against? Just dumb. Anyway, I don't look forward to it. I understand that it is inevitable and that we all have an expiration date. We just don't know it, but we know it's there. I'm wondering, well, if you don't look forward to it, and let's be honest, no one really wants to die right now to get to heaven, right? But still, if you know it's coming, and what's coming is the end of you gotta be more than just leery about it. I feel like there's more fear here than a distasteful curiosity about the whole process. Story 12. I work in a funeral home, in a morgue to be exact. I see it every single day, from 0 days old to 103 years old. I've seen someone who was an extremely healthy person, didn't drink, didn't smoke, didn't do substances. He was an athlete, passed away in his car from a heart attack. I've also seen someone that's 500 pounds live to the ripe old age of 65, passed away from natural causes. I've seen any type of it that you can think of. I've seen the hurt it causes, the screams of parents who have lost their child from gang violence lives in my head rent-free. The silence of parents looking up at the sky with a smile on their face after losing their child to cancer is ingrained in my mind. The laughter of families sharing memories after burying their 90-year-old grandmother is just beautiful. My white shirt with the makeup stains of a girl who bravely watched us lower the remains of her grandmother, grandfather, mother, and baby brother still hangs in my closet after 2 years, never to be worn again, but to live as a reminder. It has become so familiar, sad, yet beautiful in a way. I've become comfortable with it after seeing and hearing unexplainable things. We never know when we're going to go. We don't know the time and we don't know the date, but we know it'll also happen. And at this point, I'm a 30-year-old millennial struggling in life because WTF is the economy, yet I still manage to live my best life. It is what it is. Story 13. Our lifetimes are but the briefest of flashes in the long dark of time. In fact, the universe will continue for unfathomable trillions of years after the last star burns out. I was fine for all the time I didn't exist. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be fine after I'm gone too. I've been on both sides, to be honest. My mother passed at the age of 50 from cancer, and I was with her at the end, and when she was gone, it was clear to me that her body was empty and that she was somewhere else. Don't get me wrong, I'm not religious at all, but it was a feeling that there was something else. I'm not religious or anything, but the whole thing lifted any fear of passing from me until we had kids. Now I do fear passing a lot. Sometimes I'll be awake at night and wonder how my wife would cope and how my two little ones would be without me. It's quite depressing thinking about it. Still, that's life, as they say, and it makes me want to cherish as much time as I get with the fam. The inevitability of it, no sense fearing something you can't change. Life is temporary. Life, after all, is eternal. As long as I'm confident that I tried my best at being pious, I'm not worried about it, as only rewards will, hopefully, await me. Besides, it's not like I can cheat it, so better not waste energy on what is inevitable. It's like anything else in life, it's happening regardless of your emotions or your fear. Just be thankful for the ride and embrace whatever comes along. Alright, well, so if you like these stories and were inspired by at least one of them, here's another one. YouTube thinks you're gonna love it. I'll catch you in that video, and thank you for watching this one.